Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Hedger Benmilut. I've made a career out of media commentary, investigative journalism, and strategic consultancy. The last few years have been all about detoxing diversity. And as a consultant in media, having coined the framework representative journalism and now representative strategies to find a way to work beyond the vagueness of diversity and all of its toxic dynamics. People often come to me asking how to have their content look more diverse. So, that is especially asking for tips on what not to do, but still have it look more diverse. Let's get that one out of the way with 3 tips. Whether you work in hard-hitting journalism or entertainment reporting, visibility is your job. And after someone filled you in on the first few blind spots, you've concluded it's all looking way too monochrome. Things need to be more diverse and more inclusive and more equity-like, whatever that may mean. No fuss, please, just clear guidelines. I admire your effort because I've been working as a strategic advisor with media content production teams and newsrooms expressing this wish for a few years now. And at the same time, under the guise of diversity, I see most train wreck-like derailments happen that have very little to do with professionality, let alone moving things forward. Here we go. 3 tips. Knowing those who need them the most will only listen after these things go wrong time and time again, but it's nice to have as reference, and if you are in the position having to witness these failed diversity efforts and horrible window dressing, this might be comforting to know how to respond to that without starting entirely new discussions. And it could simply be therapeutic for you to know, as it was for me, that you're not the only one who feels like living in a headache-inducing off-resolution movie sometimes when the diversity program comes in. First tip. Diversity visibility mistake number 1. Treating diversity like a crayon box. Do not force diversity into your visible output, which is the tail end of your jammed production pipeline. It will only reproduce weird stereotypes, blind spots, and one-dimensional awkwardness. Even if you feel it looks great because of the exotic accessories in your work, if you're not coming from a quality-based perspective, you're only undermining and degrading things in a horrible way. So, if you're an art director, don't randomly start picking a few black models off of Instagram to insert in your pre-styled photo shoots and then present them as upcoming talents. Or worse, do an Africa-themed photo shoot for that one black model. They might be upcoming talents, but that's not the point. You are not representing professionally, but window dressing. And in journalism, don't suddenly force one black man or one headscarfed woman into every vox pop, making them implicitly represent the diverse voice. Diversity without representation, as it is in reality, is just working backwards by reproducing the same blind spots and limited viewpoints of those monochrome Instead, research the shadows. Why are you selecting the same people over and over again? What should you be doing instead to select based on the availability actually out there? The only real reason why a lack of diversity is problematic is because it doesn't represent the truth. Truth is that reality is diverse. So, no diversity is just a symptom of your irrelevant and distorted communication. That's not nothing. But the root cause is that representative quality did apparently not find its way into your system in an organic way. And that probably had a lot to do with how quality is defined and keeps on reproducing more of the same, while actual innovation and new information is being degraded and undervalued as it threatens the status quo. But that has a very limited view of reality. Evolution is never about maintaining the status quo, but about full representation of qualities. And if we do nothing about the barriers that keep those qualities out of your vision and structures, and don't assess on how professionally we actually treat it once it's in, you'll keep not seeing 90 or 99% of the picture and filling it in with offending stereotypes and undermining unprofessional randomness. That's not ethical. So please leave us alone with your ethical project. No one is happy about this except those who like to score points working on diversity. Stop it. So, what do you need to do? Acknowledge that in this current situation, you apparently are incapable to represent what has been underrepresented by selecting it yourself. This situation will not be solved by adding another layer on your limited funnel. Instead, ask professionals to assess with you where exactly you are keeping the organic quality out and how you are limiting your lens to not represent reality, and create space for others to keep doing that with you step by step, in subject by subject. See it as innovation, change management. Need to innovate your cover models? Instead of just throwing anyone on the cover, ask yourself why the big interviews and therefore cover models are always from a very small group that all look the same, and what you actually are looking for in terms of quality. Then, throw out a net. Hire different journalists for underrepresented huge stories and put those on the cover, because they are the biggest stories that week. You'll be surprised of what reality actually looks like. So, second point, building on that idea of stop trying to define what diversity looks like. You might be disappointed that it's actually not such a good idea to do a diversity cover. It's undermining, and by trying to represent everyone at the same time, you represent no one. Especially when the daily output stays more or less the same and diversity things are diversity themed. We are not your diverse people. We don't feel represented by those vague drawings of, often without faces, in which exactly every character shows a clear sign of having some underrepresented characteristic. Of pastel-colored people, but always in the most obvious stereotypical way. We're not some kind of mixed bag, and we're super happy about it. The world is not as boring as letter soup. It's more of a buffet. Realistic representation means that sometimes things will go beyond actually not looking diverse at all. Realistic representation means that sometimes things will actually not look diverse at all. And most of all, things will probably look surprising. And going beyond building a second pool of usual suspects that are now diverse, with diverse backgrounds, try to not make more of the same mistakes that got you here. But really think about those realistic dynamics in society, and most of all, be open to find out what that actually looks like in many different scenarios, and be willing to have people who actually know about that help you find out. It might not fit into your new idea of politically correct diversity, and it shouldn't, because you're not the one who should be defining reality here or what it looks like. Stop trying to throw everything together. Maybe be curious instead. Note, third, when contacting people because they are diverse, although you now have learned that you shouldn't think of us that way, it will probably take some time to get there, but at least be professional with us. If you cannot define the professional reason for contacting us or the professional path for working with us, please just don't. We cannot do the work of either being your pet diverse person for the day or having to navigate and explain to you why you are undermining professional dynamics. If you don't know how to approach us, ask. Keep it simple, focused. Remember, it's a business email. We're not your sister. We would love the opportunity to be on your cover, but things will only truly change if you really select the right one for the right job and treat it right. If you find yourself suddenly compromising on your production process because you had to throw in some last-minute diversity into your trusted steak by a recipe and are now downgrading professionalism with pre-cooked nonsense to make space, keep it. It's not nice. It's not us. It's you. We are here. We're not your diverse people, but we're ready to work when you are.